So we had a great day in terms of ballot initiatives because Colorado and Washington decided that they were going to legalize pot, not just medicinal marijuana, but all pot. That is great news. War on drugs is insane. And thank God somebody took some action. And I believe that it will be the beginning of the end for them. And apparently the feds agree. So they're now in a panic and they're trying to figure out how to stop it. So Kevin Sabet is a former advisor to Obama's drug czar. He's against legalization, and he says, quote, "This is a symbolic victory for legalization advocates, but it will be short-lived." Because basically he's saying the feds are going to come for you. In fact, he continues, "They're facing an uphill battle with implementing this in the face of presidential opposition and in the face of federal enforcement opposition." So, two important parts of that. First of all, the feds are coming for you, and we're not going to let you have your states' rights. We're not going to let you have your laws in Colorado and Washington. Second of all, you notice he mentioned presidential opposition. Now, wait a minute. I thought President Obama had said that he wasn't going to be concerned about this. That's not how he was going to use Justice Department resources. Now, don't take my word for it. Here's President Obama when he was campaigning back in 2008.
But it's safe to say you wouldn't be.
What I'm not going to be doing. What I'm not going to be doing is using Justice Department resources to try to circumvent state laws on this issue, simply because I want folks to be investigating violent crimes and potential terrorism. We've got a lot of things for our law enforcement officers to deal with.
Well, apparently he wasn't telling the truth there, because he went on to break records in number of pot dispensary raids, more so than even George W. Bush. He reappointed a czar that was left over from the Bush administration. She's a massive right-winger who's now the head of the DEA. She's the one on the crusade to go after all these states that have, in fact, legalized pot, whether it's medicinal or, in this case now, finally, just any old pot. So here are the 4 different ways that the feds are going to go after the states now. They're going to sue to block parts of the measure. They're going to send threatening letters to marijuana shops, of course, threatening arrests, seizures of their property, etc. They're going to do street-level clampdowns, which they've already been doing in California and in other states, against things that are perfectly legal within those states. And they're going to send warning letters to the state's governors. Hey, you better play ball, otherwise you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Now, Colorado has a Democratic governor, and he said he was opposed to this measure, but since it has passed, he says he will enforce it. Let's see how that turns out. Jay Inslee looks like he's going to win the governorship in Washington. He's in a very close race that has not been called yet. He, again, of course, since he's a Democrat, is opposed to his constituents and says he was opposed to the measure. But again, will say he will enforce whatever the citizens of his state decide. But will they change their minds when President Obama says, no, be more right-wing, crush this attempt to circumvent the war on drugs, which has been nothing but a gigantic failure for decades and decades. I'm glad we got change. I'm glad we got a progressive in office. So by the way, does President Obama have some sort of instinct on, hey, you know what, maybe it's going to work in Colorado and Washington, but it can't work across the country? This is an unpopular measure. Are you kidding me? First of all, in Colorado, it was enormously popular. It might have helped get President Obama elected. Because some of the people who voted for legalization voted for President Obama, which in some ways might have been a mistake because he's against legalization 100%. But across the country, it's not just Colorado and Washington, 50% are in favor of legalization and only 46% are opposed. Well, that has never stopped a Democrat from being a right-winger anyway. So why on God's green earth is this guy who said he would not go after the states if they legalize pot going to do this? Because he's center-right. In his nature, he's pro-establishment. He's anti-change. I've told you that a million times, and Democrats can't get it through their head. Yes, he's not as radical as other Republicans, okay? But he is, in essence, a Republican. I mean, look at this. He took one of the most radical people in the Bush administration and made her the head of the DEA when there was no gain in it. It doesn't help him politically. It's just in his nature. Now, here's what I propose for all those conservatives who told me all those years that they believed in states' rights. Now, all of a sudden, when Colorado and Washington say, hey, we should legalize, or we have legalized pot, they say, no way, screw states' rights. We don't believe in states' rights, right? Including the conservative President Obama. Well, I need you to take a pledge. If you're going to say that you're going to completely and utterly ignore the states' rights of Colorado and Washington, it's fine. all you got to do is sign this pledge. Say, I have never actually believed in states' rights. Every time I mentioned it, I was lying. I promise to never ever mention it again as long as I shall live. I mean, you got to agree with that, right? Apparently, if you say they vote for a ballot initiative and this is the state wanting to do this, and I say I don't give a damn about your state's rights, and I want to enforce my opinion on your state no matter what your citizens think, you apparently never believed in states' rights in the first place. And of course, that is exactly the case with all of these conservative frauds, and apparently with President Obama. By the way, one last thing. What does it take to get this guy to turn around? When he's running for office, whether it was 2008 or 2012, a progressive lion roaring throughout the country. And whenever he gets in office, I mean, we're going to get to it in the third block, the grand bargain. Giving away the queen, giving it away, right? But in this case, too. Why? How does this help you politically? And you just beat the Republicans. No, I'm going to threaten them in 18 different ways.